Today we're going to talk about how do we find the volume and surface area of cylinders. Now, volume and surface area of cylinders are given by the following formulas, but really this is not any different than for prisms. We just have some things that are hidden a little bit more. So this 2 pi r, this is really our circumference, or you might think of it as the perimeter. And again, this pi r squared, this piece, would be the area of our base. And so the total surface area is just the perimeter times the height, plus 2 times the area of the base. Same thing as with prisms. And our volume, the same thing, this pi r squared, is just another way of saying the area of our base. And so the volume is still equal to base times height, but here they've broken down what is our perimeter and our base. How do we find those? And so let's go ahead and just jump into these. I'm going to refer back to the original formulas here, rather than the shortcutted formulas that relate more closely to our prisms, simply because the problems within are set up with that in mind. So for our first cylinder, we're looking at this, and basically the only thing we need to know is we need to know what our radius is and what our height is. Well, the height they told us was 8, but the radius they've not given us directly. Instead, they've said that I have a right triangle here, and that the hypotenuse of that right triangle is 5 on the square root of 2. What you need to know, and it may not seem that way because of the picture, is that this is a radius, this is a radius, and they are in fact the same length. That means I have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and on my 45, 45, 90s, this is x, and this is x on the square root of 2. And so if my hypotenuse is 5 on the square root of 2, that means that the legs would just be 5, which means that my radius is 5. And from here we can find the surface area and the volume. So to find the surface area, our surface area, we said that that was equal to 2 pi r plus 2 pi r squared. We fill that in. Surface area equals 2 times pi times 5 plus 2 times pi times 5 squared. Oh, I forgot that there's an h right here. And so that needs to be times 8. Let me fit this in just a little bit better. And when we plug all of this in the calculator, well, 2 times 5 times 8, and that would be 10 times 8, which gives me 80 pi, plus 2 times 5 squared, well, 5 squared is 25 times 2 is 50 pi, which comes out to be 130 pi. And so that would be my surface area, 130 pi. And now for our volume. Well, volume, well, that equals pi r squared h, and so that would be pi times 5 squared times 8, and when we do that, we just get that this is 200 pi. And so that would be our volume, 200 pi. Let's look at our other example for cylinders. Here they tell us the volume of a cylinder is 36 pi. So I'm going to start with V equals 36 pi. And the height is 4. And we want to find the surface area. Well, to find the surface area, we're going to need to figure out what our radius is. Luckily, they gave us a formula, so volume equals 36 pi. Remember that volume equals pi r squared h. And so that would be pi times our radius squared times 4, because 4 was our height. And this just equals 36 pi. So let's come over here and solve this. So if I go ahead, I'm just going to kind of ignore this over here. And we're going to work this part out over here. And so I can divide this side by 4 pi. That's going to cancel out my 4 and my pi. What I need to do to the other, so I divide that side by 4 pi. And that's going to give me that r squared equals 9. Which of course means that r equals 3. And now we can find our surface area. Now remember our surface area. That is 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. So that means that we need to do 2 times pi times my radius of 3 times my height of 4 and add 2 pi times my radius of 3 squared. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24, so that would be 24 pi. 3 squared is 9 times 2 gives me 18 pi, which equals 42 pi. And this is in yards. And because it is surface area, these would be square yards. On my original problem, this would be in square inches and cubic inches. And so this is the volume and surface area of a cylinder.